I would say Museum of Natural History. And like I said, when we were young, we used to go through Fort Ward Park. Um, and I remember finding little shell casings. And I don't know where they are now, but going through there and just looking up artifacts because I was into history and stuff. And I just enjoy exploring the woods. I was an outdoors person. Um, Going through the woods and had animals as friends and like I was like Jacques Cousteau or somebody. I'm trying to learn and explore. And even the different types of things I ran across, it didn't scare me like snakes. Snakes and people don't know it, but we have moccasins around here. And I know because my father told me what to look for. It's the difference between the snakes, the black snakes. You see the one with the color on them, the red or the orange, like that was the poison ones. And I learned a lot outdoors and also survival. Like I said, my father was military and taught me how to survive if you're out in the woods with pulling out honeysucker and the juice coming in your mouth. That was like water or to refresh until you can find water. And by him being a training sergeant back in the War II, all black division, the 25th Infantry, he had a lot of knowledge of that. Oh, I remember when I was a kid, I didn't really pay too much attention then. Every Mother's Day and Memorial Day, my father would take the younger kids up to the gravesite. We have family members buried at Fort Ward. It's an all-black cemetery, which was owned and land of my great aunt, Sarah Adams. And she donated the land to the Oakland Baptist Cemetery, Oakland Baptist Church, and so people was buried there. And the other place was the Freemans down here in Alexandria, but Fort Worth was closer. So I have at this time we can recall, we can identify our grandmother on my father's side and two of his sisters, and I'm not sure about one more, but and plenty of cousins that are buried up there. And at this time, it's a historical site. And if you go there, they have a post of describing families. You have the Turls, you have the Wanzers, you have the Shorts, you have, McKnights and Adams and Casey's, up there. So it's been another thing in the Lewis. It's an area at the time I was told that 75 or 80% of the people was kin to me when I was a kid up there. So, we had cousins, like I said, you had cousins, and older cousins always looked after you. Your parents didn't have to see you. You had other family eyes on you, and they would straighten you if you do something that wasn't correct. And you can leave the doors unlocked. And you always had your own pets, dogs or cats. And we just had fun just back in the day in the area because you more outside, wasn't much pollution. Sinus bother me now. Back then I didn't have sinus. I probably just got it like, 7 years ago or 6 years ago. But you stayed outside most of the time until your mother called you for dinner. you know, 8 kids, everybody's not going to be in the house. You'd be outside playing. And until it's time to come and do homework or eat a meal. Oh, yes, like I said, I had a mutual friend, a lot of black friends and white friends all down the area, Quaker Lane and Seminary Road. Um, Cousin Sylvania, which has passed away now. And we had a lot of family member cousins around there. I used to love my cousin coming up from Charles City to play during the summer with me, and the Sanchez, Monty and Mark Sanchez, and the Atkins, John and Bruce Atkins, and Lonnie Belt, which they call Ricky. We had a lot of, I'm naming some cousins too now. And down the street was, like I said, David Carroll, Donald McGee. His father was a minister at the church right on the corner of Quaker Lane and Seminary Road. That was the McGees. Reverend McGee had two sons, Coco and Donald. And then if you go down Jenner's Lane, another buddy of mine, we was close friends, but we always had scrimmages. We always fought. Donald Demery. And to this day, we best of friends. But we always used to have a little tussle once a year in every grade. Goes in first grade all the way up. And we always had a little tussle, and we'd be friends the rest of the year. Scott Donnelly, that was Carrie Donnelly's younger brother. We went to school together. And we just had Mark Durazzo, lived on Sterling. I can go on, we just had friends all over the place. And it goes to show you how far out. And also President Gerald Ford, his son, lived off of Janice Lane too. I forgot what street it was. I don't know if it was right off. The streets are named after Ivy League schools. Okay, you're probably familiar with that. He was a couple years older. He used to come and play football. Was on the football field, and I can go back into Freddie Rosenthal. His father was well-to-do, lived off of Trinity. We had good friendship together all through elementary till he was grown, and till he went over the seas, and I think he was killed in an accident in Germany. So a lot of good friends, and like I said, we had plenty of cousins in the neighborhood, and strong family ties. Yes, that was the Center Theater, and I worked there for a short period of time as a usher, as a teenager. I was, my height, I'm tall, so I was a kid collecting tickets, and I used to work there for a short period of time. We had different types of sandwich shops and pizza shops in that Fairlands and Shopping Center. And 31 Flavor's been there ever since I can remember as a teenager, right there on the corner, still there today. The Center Theaters right now is where Lindsay have a car dealership. I think it's a Volvo dealer now by there, right there. And across the street was the drugstore. Now it's called CVS. Down where the bank, Wells Fargo, used to be a co-op. We used to always like to collect bottles where the workers was working around building things. Even when they was building T.C. Williams at the time, we'd take them there and go and get 2 cents. That was another part-time job we had, because the workers always drunk several sodas apiece, and we'd pick up the bottles. And sometimes you find crates, and the crates they give you 30 or 35 cents for the crates if you take them back to the co-op. And then you go to Brad Lee, we had another place where we had called a little slot car game place. And I thought that was the coolest thing you can do. You go in and sit down, you got a remote control, and you got these little motor cars going around so fast, and that was a good thing. So that was part of the thing. Then it wasn't at McDonald's. We had like a Roy Rogers. And then a couple steps from there was Holly Farms. You think of Popeyes and KFC and Church's. We had Holly Farms. And that was a nice place to go eat. And there was an old giant up in the Brad Lee Shopping Center. I think up there where the post office used to be up there now. And it was really great. And speaking of the post office, my sister Brenda and my brother Paul and I used to walk through the Pistol Woods through the seminary to the old post office on Seminary Road. The white building still sit there today across from the synagogue. My father's check from the military used to come every month. And we used to walk through the woods every month to get it. We have our sticks because Sometimes you might see a dog or my animal come, you flack at him, he'll run. And some of the bigger dogs, we used to have to climb a tree and get away from it and pick up the checks. That was fun going with one of my older brothers and sisters. I was the youngest of the boys. I used to tab around with everybody, And I had two younger sisters also. So that was really good growing up in the area, which kids don't have the experience today, to sit down and talk to older folks that was like in their 80s, when you like 7, 8, or even 10 and 12 years old, telling how things used to be back in the early 1900s. And one of neighbors in the neighborhood used to live at the fort, but when the new houses came in the area where Woods Avenue was placed, he's two doors down from my parents. I always call him Deacon Young or Sergeant Young. He was a sergeant in the military. And he used to tell me about things that happened when he was in the service. And information from him and information from my father, I said, man, they had a rough time. Going here, training was ice cold, because you think you're going to Germany, or you're going somewhere where it's burning hot in swamps down Louisiana. That's how my father met my mother, because he thought he was going to the South Pacific. Well, he went to the South Pacific, but earlier he was up for Walla Walla, Washington. That was cold. And Butte, Montana. That's where he was trained at first. And then, on the shift, he went to down south, down as far as Fort Worth, Arizona, and also in Louisiana and someplace in Georgia, because he was learning, be around the hot areas and swamp areas, going on to the South Pacific. And he didn't get a chance. He wasn't going to Germany, but South Pacific, the 25th Infantry. Their home base was Fort Worth, Arizona, and also back in the day had a spot in the Philippines, which is no longer now, but no longer in the Philippines, but Fort Worth is still there. And if I'm not mistaken, I was told by a cousin that went down there, my father's picture's hanging up as a master sergeant. You have to excuse my voice. The pollen and the weather sort of make me go up and down my voice, because sinus. But yes, I learned a lot from my father, especially when it comes to survival and how to do a lot of things. And taught me how to be a man at a young age. So I really miss that. But the experience I taught my kids, my boys, and all my kids are over 6 feet. My daughter is 6 feet, 6'3", and the one's 6'5.5", the one in the military. Yeah, I'm 6'4.5" myself. And I understand my parents wasn't that tall; they were short. But my grandfather was 6'4". So you miss a generation, next generation pick it up. So, it just was amazing growing up in the seminary area. I know I rambled because I wasn't expecting what kind of questions, but I enjoyed just bringing back the memory. And my older brothers and sisters, I mean to say this about my older brothers, they had it hard coming up, because before they go to school, they had to go chop wood to bring it home to the pot belly stove and the wood stove. So, to keep the house warm. So they used to cut the wood in the seminary woods, but you can only cut the wood, the trees that fell. So that was helping the seminary get rid of the wood, dead wood and stuff, clean up the forest. And it also helped us because we got free wood, which you didn't use in the cold, because you can also get coal back then. And they used to do that before they go to school. And I remember snow came so high once in the late 60s. My father had to go out and dig a trench around the house. And then he had to get up on the roof and knock the snow off the roof. The trench around the house so he can get out, and also so the dog have a place to go around, and he had to come in when it was that cold so he can get warm. So he opened the door and let the dog go to the restroom and bathroom and come back in. And I thought, I never had to experience that. I never seen snow that high to dig a trench around the house and shovel snow off the roof so the roof won't cave in. So that was the experience. And you only had one TV in the house. And one thing I like about the old ways, when you had a thunderstorm, you turn off all electric power and you sit down and nobody make noise. Even the dog wouldn't bark. We had German Shepherds growing up. I remember several German Shepherds. And nobody made a move. If you're eating, your food stay there until after the storm passed over. My mother sit in the chair, my father sit down, and my mother say, you know, the Lord's talking, so be quiet. So you don't see that today. The storm today, I have the lights on and watching TV until the lights go off at the power shortage or something. But other than that, I remember that growing up. And I thought that was something that I should have kept doing, you know, because it was really something. When it get too bad, we do turn the lights on, my wife and I. Yes. After living in the Taiwan area for so long and then coming back to this area and been through things that I've been through as a kid, as far as illness, I had a hidden disability that people don't see. I was born extra valve, and they didn't have to do any surgery until the late 60s. At the NIH, I was 10 years old. And, you know, that type of surgery wasn't really that prevalent. You had to send to the hospital for almost 2.5 weeks. So, you know, that's the, thing I didn't bring up. But I thought that was one of at the NIH, National Institute of Health, that I grew out of it because I was told I wouldn't make it past 9. Then the doctor told my parents you wouldn't make it past 15 or 10. 14 or 15 or 14 or 15. And here I am today, getting close to 70. And I did everything I wanted to do, except for 1 year I didn't play sports after I had the surgery. But nobody never would know it because they said he was a big guy and, played sports and worked at these places and worked in law enforcement. I ran a housing unit. So you got to be pretty on your toes and tough to do something like that. Over 700 some inmates.